Episode 89, Bad Boss Comedy.
Dealing with a bad boss is one of those things that everyone can relate to. We've all had that boss who thinks they're the second coming of Steve Jobs, but really they're just a glorified paper pusher who can't even operate a printer. And let's be honest, dealing with a bad boss can be pretty stressful. But if you can find the humor in the situation, it can make things a lot more bearable. For example, I used to work for a boss who was so clueless that I'm pretty sure they thought Microsoft Excel was a type of laundry detergent. And every time they tried to give me feedback on my work, it was like they were speaking in a different language. They'd say things like, "I need you to optimize your synergy with the team, or we need to leverage our core competencies in order to achieve maximum output." And I'd just nod and smile, like I had any idea what they were talking about. But the best part was when they'd try to be one of the guys. They'd come into the break room and try to make small talk with us, like they were just another employee. But it was always so painfully awkward. They'd be like, "So, have you guys seen any good movies lately?" And we'd all just stare at them like they had three heads. And let's not forget about the passive-aggressive emails. You know the ones I'm talking about. The ones that start with just a friendly reminder, but end up making you feel like you're about to be fired. It's like they're trying to channel their inner Regina George, but they just come off as petty and vindictive. But despite all of this, I still managed to find the humor in the situation. Because at the end of the day, having a bad boss is just a temporary inconvenience. And one day, you'll be able to look back on those awkward small talk moments and laugh. Unless, of course, you're still working for them. In that case, my condolences. Dealing with a bad boss can be tough, but it can also be hilarious if you look at it the right way. I mean, have you ever had a boss who thinks they're the next Steve Jobs, but really they're just a Steve no-go? Or maybe you've had a boss who micromanages you so much that you feel like you're working in a fishbowl? Let me tell you, I've had my fair share of bad bosses, and they've provided me with enough material for a lifetime of stand-up comedy. One thing that always cracks me up is when bad bosses try to be funny. You know the type, they think they're the office clown but really they're just the office fool. They tell these cringe-worthy jokes that nobody laughs at, and then they stand there waiting for a reaction like a lost puppy. And if you don't laugh, they'll just keep telling the same joke over and over again, hoping that eventually, you'll find it funny. But no matter how many times they tell it, it's still about as funny as a root canal. Then there are the bosses who are always breathing down your neck. They hover over your shoulder like a helicopter parent, watching your every move and nitpicking everything you do. You can't even go to the bathroom without them asking for a progress report. I mean, seriously, do they think we're going to flush the whole project down the toilet if they're not there to supervise? But my all-time favorite bad boss is the one who thinks they're a master delegator, but really they're just passing the buck. They'll give you a task and say something like, "I want you to take ownership of this project," but as soon as something goes wrong, they'll throw you under the bus faster than you can say, "It's not my fault." And then they'll act like they had no idea what was going on, like they weren't the one who gave you the task in the first place. It's like a game of hot potato, but instead of a potato, it's a flaming ball of responsibility. So, how do you deal with a bad boss? Well, you could quit your job and start your own business, but that's a lot of work. Or you could just do what I do and use them as inspiration for your stand-up comedy routine. Either way, just remember, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And when life gives you a bad boss, make jokes. Dealing with a bad boss can be tough, but it can also be hilarious. I mean, who hasn't had a boss who thinks they're the second coming of Steve Jobs, but in reality, they're more like Dwight Schrute from The Office. One of the funniest things about having a bad boss is the way they try to assert their dominance. They'll come into the office with their chest puffed out like a peacock and start barking orders like they're in charge of the entire universe. And you're just sitting there like, "Okay, calm down there, champ. You're just the manager of a small department in a mid-sized company." And don't even get me started on the ridiculous rules they come up with. Like, no talking in the break room, or no personal phone calls during work hours. I mean, come on, Karen. We're not robots. We need a little bit of human interaction to keep us sane. But the best part of having a bad boss is the stories you get to tell afterwards. Like the time my old boss asked me to work late on a Friday night, even though I had plans to go out with my friends. I told her I couldn't do it, and she said, "Well, if you don't come in, you're fired." So I went in, and it turns out she just wanted someone to help her rearrange her office furniture. That was a fun night. And let's not forget about the passive-aggressive emails. You know the ones I'm talking about. The emails where they say something like, just a friendly reminder that we have a deadline coming up. I'm sure you're already on top of it, but I just wanted to make sure. Translation: I don't think you're doing your job properly, and I'm watching you like a hawk. In conclusion, having a bad boss can be frustrating, but it can also be hilarious. Just remember, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And if your boss is a lemon, make lemonade and throw it in their face. Thanks, folks, I'll be here all week.
And that wraps up another laughter-filled episode of Not So Funny A. If you enjoyed the jokes generated by our AI algorithms, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our comedy-loving community.